with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Well, good morning here on a Friday the 13th morning in May. Welcome to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning, coming to you from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you and small enough to care. Obviously, I am not Shane Matthews. Shane is out today on some business. My name is Terry Norvelle. Glad to sit in here and do this wonderful show that Shane has carved out over several years. Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning, one of the better podcasts you will find. I guarantee that, and especially if you're a Gator fan. I want to thank my producer, buddy of mine that I've worked with for a long time, Evan Miller. He'll guide me through this hour, and we'll have a lot of fun and hopefully learn as we go. Let me set the show real quick, what we're going to do, and I hope to get some things. Let me see if I can hit a few buttons here and maybe get some setup where I can read some comments and things like that. I can maybe follow along if you've got questions or comments, things like that. We'll follow and try to get to your questions, comments, and thoughts here on the show. Here's what we're looking at here, first half, second half of the show. A lot of Gator baseball talk today. Obviously, Florida, the baseball season is slowly winding down. We'll walk through what a strange, choppy, maddening, frustrating, exhilarating at times college baseball season it's been so far for the Florida Gators. Kind of look back at the season and where we think it's going. Really a roller coaster ride for Gator baseball, as you know, if you followed Gator baseball. We'll also here in the first half of the show take a look at Gator softball. The big SEC tournament is slowly winding down in Gainesville. In Florida, the Gators are playing real good softball right now. We'll look at Gator softball, kind of some of the implications. Florida, boy, their softball team, if they can get by, they've got a big task today. They take on the number one seed in the tournament, Arkansas. But if Florida can get by and win this SEC tournament, they're in good shape. They will not have left Gainesville because they're going to get a regional. If they were to win their regional, if they win the SEC tournament in softball, they could get a super regional, meaning the Florida softball team could have about a 1 month homestand and then hopefully leave for the first time in a month, hit the road, but go to Oklahoma City where the softball World Series is. So we'll talk some softball as well as some Gator baseball here in the first portion of the show. We've got a fun This Day in Sports coming to you a little bit later, of course, brought to you by Comfort Temp. I think I've dug one up that'll make you think a little bit. And then speaking of making you think, the second half of the show, let me tell you what I want to do. Obviously, I haven't talked to this audience a lot over the years. I've been on guests here and there, and some of you have followed me from some other shows. You may or may not know kind of my thoughts on where college sports / college football is going in the future. I'll give you my thoughts. I've got a lot of ideas. That's all we have right now. College sports and college football, we know, is changing. It is changing. We don't know for the good, for the bad, where, but I've got some real deep thoughts. I've put a lot of thought into this, and it's such an important issue, but we are in a real I don't know time, but I'll give you my thoughts and share some with you if I can try and get these comments here brought. There we go. I want to say hi to John, who's checking in. What about Texas A&M canceling their game? He's asking a question about college baseball already. We'll try and get to some of that as we go. But man, is college sports, the world of college athletics, specifically the world of college football, really is undergoing currently changes that I don't think any of us know where it's going to end up at, good or bad. I'll give you a lot of thoughts on that as we go. So that kind of sets the show a little bit. Some miscellaneous stuff I want to get to, news and notes, things maybe later in the show as well, happening in and around the world of college athletics mostly. Again, Terry Norvelle in for Shane Matthews. Shane will be back on Monday, and I believe if Evan thinks I do a decent job today, I think I may be back on Tuesday and Wednesday. My name is Terry Norvelle, and we appreciate you checking in with us here on Pot Up with Matthews in the morning, as we've got a lot to do today. Let's get into it real quick. As we do, though, let me tell you, at South State Bank, we understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. South State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking forward, a member of the FDIC. Again, I want to say hi to Nate checking in. He says, good morning. Glad to have you watching and listening, Nate. We appreciate that. As we get going. Gator baseball. Let's lead things off with Gator baseball. I want to kind of walk through where this season has gone. And looks like Florida has turned the corner a little bit within the last week or so, within the last series or two. But man, what a choppy baseball season so far for Kevin O'Sullivan and the Gator guys on the diamond. Let's think back how it started. Opening series of the season in Gainesville. Beautiful ballpark, 2 years old. Liberty comes to town, right? Okay, Liberty is a good baseball program. Opening series, opening game, Barco throws a gem, Florida wins. Liberty takes the second and third game of the series. So Florida loses the opening series. I don't know if you remember way back then. The Gators lose the opening series at home to Liberty. So, not a great start. Liberty is a good program. They're going to make the tournament again. Florida then goes out early in the year and goes and wins a series against Miami. So Florida takes a series over Miami. Okay, lose to Liberty, win a series over Miami. We'll get back to the Miami series in a moment. A little bit later in the season, and this was where some of the bullpen, oh boy, what's going on? Is there a bridge? Is there a closer? And or is it going to be a long year? The third game at Alabama. You guys remember, Florida goes to Bama and wins 2, should have swept. Florida easily should have won that third game and swept that series. Florida's bullpen really let them down, right? They really let Florida down. And that was one of the early indications that it may be a tough season getting to the bridge and to the closer portion of the staff for Florida. Alabama wins a game that they should not. Florida should have swept Alabama. Alabama's not very good. So up and down, right out of the gate for Gator baseball. Then LSU comes into Gainesville and bombs the Gators. Just absolutely rips the ball, the cover off the ball all season long. You remember the series probably. LSU might have been their best moment of the season so far. LSU played real well for 3 games, and this started an ugly little swoon in the season for Gator baseball. After LSU bombed Florida in 3 games, the Gators go to Georgia. They head to Athens. Georgia's okay, not great, not bad. They're a decent baseball program this year. Georgia sweeps Florida, and again, remember what happened. Remember what happened in the first game in Athens on that Friday night. Florida really dominated the game, controlled the game. It got tied. Florida scores 2 in the top of the ninth. Game should be over. They need to go out and record 3 outs and get out of there with a series opening win. Bullpen again falters. Gators 2 in the top of the ninth to what appears to be a win, and they give up 3 in the bottom of the ninth to Georgia. Georgia wins Friday night and sweeps Florida. Bullpen. Bridge, closer, big issues. So Georgia sweeps Florida. The roller coaster is not over, though. A little bit later, Florida takes on preseason top 10 and one of the favorites to win the national championship this year. Florida takes a series over Arkansas. They go out and beat up Arkansas pretty bad after that ugly series against LSU and the ugly series at Georgia. They go out, Florida baseball. The roller coaster continues. They win and rough up Arkansas in a series. Then the Gators are swept at Tennessee, where they only scored 2 runs in the first 2 games. Tennessee sweeps Florida, and then we get back to where we're at modern time or current time, basically. The Gators go to Starkville and sweep Mississippi State. Now, I know Mississippi State is not real good this year, and they have been just savaged by injuries. But anytime you go into Starkville and win 3, that is a really, really good accomplishment. So what a strange season so far for Gator baseball. Some positives, though, they're starting to pop up. It looks like the arms are starting to figure it out. Some of these young pitchers, some of these young arms, they're now getting their third and fourth start. Some of these guys, they've got 25 innings or so under their belt. They're talented, but they were young. Looks like they're figuring it out a little bit. And I love what Sully did. You know what? He didn't just stand pat. He's messed around with that lineup, and I love some of the things he's done. And it's worked to a degree. Langford in the 1 hole. Get Fabian out of the 2 hole. I hated that from the minute I saw that lineup early in the year when Judd Fabian was hitting in the 2 hole. I love that move. Halter moving over to third base because young Fabian, Derek Fabian, overmatched at times. I love moving around. You move Thompson into second base. You move some guys around in the batting order and also defensively, and it's worked. It's lit a little bit of a fire under Gator baseball. Be interesting to see where they go. Florida takes on here the rest of the schedule for the Gators, and they've got a shot. Florida has a shot at second place in the East. Tennessee has run away with college baseball this year. Tennessee, number 1 team in the nation. The Vols are 44-6, I believe it is, some gaudy record. Yeah, Tennessee 44-6. They're going to win the East, obviously. Tennessee played Georgia last night in Knoxville and beat Georgia. If Tennessee could sweep Georgia in the next 2 games, that would greatly help the Florida Gator cause. Now, strange series too, and I'm assuming this has something to do with graduation maybe. The series Georgia at Tennessee in baseball, they played last night. Tennessee won 5-2. They don't play tonight. They play game 2 on Saturday and game 3 on Sunday. So it's a Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm assuming that has something to do with maybe graduation. Maybe one of the colleges at Tennessee is near the baseball park and they don't want 2 big events going on at one time. But Tennessee could do Florida a big favor. Now, Florida has 3 at Missouri starting tonight. The Gators on the road at Missouri, a midweek game at home against Florida State, and Florida closes at home with 3 against South Carolina. Winnable, definitely winnable games. Had a Facebook Live comment. Somebody says, hey, identify yourself. Again, I've thrown my name out a couple times. Let me do it a few times because I know you expect Shane Matthews. I'm Terry Norvelle. Shane's off today. He'll be back in on Monday, and I think I'll be back here Tuesday and Wednesday. But I'm filling in for my buddy Shane Matthews, and that's who the heck I am, Terry Norvelle. So Gator baseball, a little bit of an uptick right now, a little bit of an uptick compared to, but boy, has it been crazy. It has been crazy. It looks like Florida, if they get in, if the Gators finish strong, if they don't win the SEC tournament in baseball, if they get a bid, there's certainly a lot of work to do if they want to host. It looks like they may go on the road, but right now, and the way this season has played out, just getting in is the key. But they're growing up. They're growing up those arms. A lot of people checking in. Want to say hi to my buddy Dan Bond. He's been following me for a long time, and we appreciate it. Richard Peavy checking in. A lot of people checking in here, as always, on this very, very popular show. Celebration Point is where Gators come to celebrate with premium brands like Visor's Rooftop, Dave & Buster's, of course, Regal Cinemas, Hotel Indigo, Sensei Asian Bistro, Escapology, and the HBC's restaurant Spurrier's, the Gridiron Grill, where every Tuesday you can enjoy 50% off handcrafted martinis from 4 until 10. We will see you at Celebration Point, where Gators come to celebrate. Gator baseball looking up, and boy, we didn't know if we were going to say that late in the season, but boy, they look like they've turned the corner. Maybe not playing the greatest competition, but they look like they have turned the corner to a degree. I'm trying to read some of these comments. I want to say hi to Lauren. He's checked in with us. Dan, come on, Dan. Dan says maybe they're not playing that baseball game tonight in Knoxville because a brother and sister may be getting married and using some of the facilities there in Knoxville. Come on, Dano. Trying to scan through here. I'll try and keep an eye on comments here as we go here on a Friday. Gosh darn, can you believe we're halfway through May? Hard to believe. Bad news, we're halfway through May. Good news, we're getting closer to college football. At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Gator softball. Wow, Gator softball. Speaking of turning the corner, Gator softball today, 5:30. They're scheduled or thereabouts. Florida now in the semifinal game. The Gators will take on. They will take on number 1 seeded Arkansas. Earlier at 3 o'clock, you will have Missouri, the 7 seed. They have made it to the semifinals in softball. Missouri takes on Tennessee, the 3 seed. That is the 3 o'clock game. And then Florida will proceed against Arkansas, scheduled right around 5:30, depending on that first game. So Florida, a bit of a nice path right now. Now, they've won a couple. Good news. They faced the number 1 seed, Arkansas. But the way it's shaken out, Alabama's been knocked out. Alabama's the 2 seed. So Florida, if they could get by the 1 seed today, they would not have to go 1-2 to win this thing. Alabama got knocked out earlier, which is a bit of a break. If Florida can get to that spot that they would have faced number 2 Alabama. How has Florida done? How have they fared? They played Arkansas 3 times this year already in Gainesville, and Arkansas roughed up the Gators. It looks like 9-1, 5-4, and 2-0. So Florida's got their work cut out, but the Gators are playing well. Gators are playing real well, getting players back. Obviously, Adams is back from an injury, one of their leaders, one of their veterans. If Florida could win today and get to the championship game tomorrow, most likely they would face Tennessee, the 3 seed. Tennessee took 2 of 3 from Florida earlier this year. So the Gators are going to have to beat some teams that if they want to win this SEC softball championship, Florida's going to have to beat some teams that have kind of roughed them up in 6 games. But, you can't beat them if you don't get to the game. So Florida softball has got a chance. Speaking of softball, have you followed the number 1 team in the nation in softball? Oklahoma, defending national champions. They've won 5 softball championships. Patty Gasso, really great coach. The Oklahoma softball team, number 1 in the nation, 48-1. They are 48-1. They've lost 1 game all year. They lost one of their 3 games against Texas. 48-1. So you've got Tennessee, number 1 baseball team in the nation, 44-6, and Oklahoma, number 1 softball team in the nation, they are 48-1. Unbelievable. Defending national champions. Certainly a long way to go. And what do you do in postseason really defines you. But my goodness, it is all or nothing for Oklahoma. You go 48-1 at one point, and you don't win the national title. Championships are hard to win. I understand that, but my goodness, it'll be disappointing if Oklahoma doesn't win. But strange things happen in Oklahoma City. Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's number 1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com and join us on Friday for our Peachland Dentistry JC and the QB weekend picks. I don't think we've got those. Evan, I don't think we have those. We'll miss that, I guess. Yeah. Speaking of miss that, it would be about right now that JC and Shane are going at it, right? I mean, that's half my morning every morning is when those two get going at it and arguing about golfers and arguing about this and arguing about that. But they'll be back next Friday, as you love them, JC, and of course Shane Matthews, his show Pot Up with Matthews in the morning. I'm Terry Norvelle sitting in for Shane. He'll be back on Monday, and I think I'll be in on Tuesday. And also on Wednesday. A couple things I want to see that we're wrapping up here as we open up segment number 1, talking a lot of Gator baseball and Gator softball. Also, college baseball in general. The ACC having a really good year. The ACC's got several teams that have kind of popped up and made their conference a little stronger. Virginia Tech is ranked in the top 10. Maryland is ranked in the top 20, 2 teams that normally aren't ranked that high. Miami has had a resurgence. The Canes have climbed deep into the top 10, and they've had a nice year. So the ACC has come on. College baseball as a whole has been very strange at the top of the rankings, starting from the preseason poll. You've got several teams that ascended to number one in the nation earlier in the first half of the season that are basically not even ranked. Your preseason top 10 in college baseball from Division I baseball read like this. This was preseason baseball. Texas 1, Vanderbilt 2, Mississippi State, the defending national champions, were preseason 3, according to D1 baseball. Stanford, LSU 5, Arkansas 6, Notre Dame 7, Ole Miss 8, Florida was preseason 9, according to D1 baseball, and Oklahoma State 10. Of that preseason top 10, here are some of the teams that were ranked number one that basically aren't even ranked. Texas was the perennial preseason pick to win the national title. They brought so many players back. Texas, preseason 1, they're basically not even ranked right now. A huge fall for Texas. Ole Miss got to number 1. I mean, they are scrapping in the second half of the year. Ole Miss tumbled out of the rankings after they reached number 1 at one point in the season. Vanderbilt is hanging on. I saw they're ranked in the low 20s. Vanderbilt was preseason 2. Florida, obviously not ranked and haven't been ranked for several weeks. Florida started in the top 10 at number 9. Mississippi State, I'll give them a little bit of a pass. They were preseason number 3. I think that was mainly on the heels of them being the defending national champions. They lost a lot of that core, Rowdy, Jordan, and those guys. They lost a lot of that core. Mississippi State was ravaged early also with injuries to their pitching staff. But what a strange year at the top. You've got teams, again, Texas, preseason 1, not even ranked for a long time this year. Ole Miss, the same thing. Vanderbilt, looks funny to see Vanderbilt only several games above 500, as Vanderbilt has been one of the powers, but a strange year, which means we may have a very, very fun postseason. Currently, the top 10 in D1 baseball from several days ago, it'll come out soon. Tennessee's your number 1 team in the nation. Oregon State, one of the West powers, of course, as of the last decade. Oregon State 2, Oklahoma State 3, Arkansas 4, Virginia Tech 5, as I mentioned, Miami 6, Louisville, Stanford, Texas Tech, and Texas A&M. That rounds out your top 10 in D1 baseball. Getting back to Florida's crazy season. Right? Up and down, up and down, up and down. Do you realize Florida has won series over number 4, Arkansas, and number 6, Miami? But then they go and get swept against Georgia. They can't sweep Alabama. Crazy, crazy year for Gator baseball. Let me tell you about, speaking of Comfort Temp, let me tell you about Comfort Temp real quick. And it is time for This Day in Sports, sponsored by Comfort Temp. Comfort is their business. Peace of mind is our promise. Beat the summer heat and schedule your air conditioning tune-up today, keeping you chill and the Florida heat far away. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Call us today at 352-376-2366. Let me check that one off. And let's throw out a This Day in Sports, sponsored by Comfort Temp. I think you'll like it. Let me find it. I wrote it down. Oh, here we go. Here we go. How about this one, Mr. Evan Miller? We're going to go back to 1845. Thank you very much. Good old 1845 for This Date in Sports. I'm going to tie it kind of modern time where we're at on the calendar. 1845, This Day in Sports. 50,000 people showed up in Queens, New York to watch a horse race. It was kind of this horse from this part of the country meeting this horse from this part of the country. And why do I bring that up? Why is that the day? Well, we're in the Triple Crown area of the calendar, right? The Kentucky Derby, that shocking win was recent. We've got the Preakness and the Belmont coming up, and everybody will follow. Will we have a Triple Crown winner? I bring that up because a lot of people may not understand or realize that all the way through, let's say, the mid to late 1940s, okay? The mid to late 1940s, horse racing and boxing were 2 of your major sports. I mean, baseball was the pastime, but horse racing and boxing, not NFL, which started in the 20s. College football was big, but horse racing was massive in our country, along with boxing. Really, the main reason was TV hadn't got really mainstream until the late 40s, 50s. So your sports were consumed via the radio. And why did that? Well, boxing and horse racing translate perfect to the radio. If you've got a good announcer, broadcaster, I mean, it's easy to paint the picture. Two guys in a ring boxing, right? Horse racing. You describe who takes off, where the horses are at. It's a great radio sport along boxing and horse racing. And both sports relatively quick. By the 40s, you had 30s and 40s, boxing was basically 15 rounds. So you knew it was going to be within a 2-hour window at max. Horse racing, 2 minutes. So that is your This Day in Sports, a horse racing teaser. Horse racing and boxing were two of the dominant American sports through 1910, 1920, 1930, 40, until this monster that we call television swooped in, and then sports like football that really football needs to be visual. It's great on radio, but football's visual, basketball's visual. Not that boxing and horse racing aren't, but boy, those two sports translate great to radio. Hey, Evan, I got an idea. Let's take a first break here of the morning, Friday the 13th morning. I'm Terry Norvelle sitting in for Shane Matthews. You are watching Hot Up with Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, Aikido America, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avera and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. The Facebook Live question comments on the show, obviously sponsored by Meldon Law, the only official injury law firm partner of the Florida Gators. The comments are rolling in fast and furious. Let me go over a couple then real quick. And thank you, folks, for participating. Number one, I did not know we won't have a Triple Crown. It appears that Rich Strike will not run in the Preakness. That's weak. Is the horse hurt? If you're not hurt, you got to run. You got to send that sucker out there to run. So we won't have a – thank you for I can't remember who sent that in. Speaking of Oklahoma softball, 48-1, the dominant team this year, obviously. 123 home runs they've hit. Good God, that's a lot of home runs for Oklahoma. I guess that's how you get to be 48-1. Thank you for the person that sent that in. I don't want to say who asked this question on the Meldon Law Facebook Live question comment line, but I was asked. Shane is out. I'm Terry Norvelle filling in for Shane today. He'll be back on Monday. And no Shane, no JC. So one guy says, are those two clowns on the golf course? I can neither confirm nor deny that JC and or Shane are on or not on the golf course. I will not get in the middle of that. We had a Facebook Live, Meldon Law Facebook Live comment that came in and said, speaking of that, this day in sports, back in 1845, that horse race I told you about, I was told via the comment that the horse racing announcer for that 1845 event was Joe Biden. I cannot neither confirm nor deny that either. I wasn't around for that, but we appreciate a lot of the comments. Let me see if I can see if there's anything. Owner said Rich Strike only running every 5 to 6 weeks. Good Lord, Evan Miller, what in the world? We can't get people to work. We can't get people to race. What the hell's going on in this country? Get that horse out there and run. Run, for God's sakes. Put Forrest Gump on him. Run. Like that one bit. Don't like it at all. All right, second part of the show. Real quick, let me tell you about QC Connect. If you've got joint pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back that just won't go away, you need to check out QC Kinetic for long-lasting relief, not surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule your free consultation. Again, free consultation at QC Kinetic. Their number, 352-400-4550. Again, call QC Kinetic today if you're suffering from any of those ailments. Their number at QC Kinetic, 352-400-4550. Okay, teased the show earlier when we were setting the show at the beginning, and I said, part 2 of the show, I'm going to make you think. I'm going to give you some stuff to think about all weekend. I'm going to throw out my thoughts, my ideas, my guess of where college sports / college football is going. We are in the middle of, and at the beginning of actually, a very big change in college sports. You know it, I know it, with everything coming down the pipe. Let me make you think. And how I've answered what I think's coming down in college athletics, I use 2 words: concept and implementation. Concept, implementation. The new things that have hit college sports, NIL, I 1,000,000% support the concept. I am for NIL, student athletes finding some money, making some money, NIL. The concept of NIL, I am 1,000% behind. I don't know if it can be implemented without causing problems, without causing more problems. Concept versus implementation. Same thing with Title IX. If you know what Title IX is, gender equity with regard to scholarship accessibility for male and female. It was passed and enacted in the early 70s. Everybody, including me, in the world, I would think, is pro Title IX. The concept of Title IX, I totally support. The implementation has been a nightmare. Title IX has been a financial absolute drain. No college presidents and ADs could say that publicly, but since the early 70s, Title IX, the implementation has been a massive, the most massive financial drain in college sports. Concept, I 2,000% support Title IX, much like NIL. Implementation is a whole nother issue. Hell, you could even say, take it non-sports, welfare. The concept of welfare versus the implementation. The concept is wonderful. The implementation, keeping it from being abused, it just can't be done. It doesn't seem to be done. Concept versus implementation. That's where I'm at. I'm one of the few guys that, to a degree, defends the NCAA. I feel for the NCAA right now. The NCAA was formed for one explicit purpose: to govern amateur athletics, not professional. Amateur athletics. So here is the NCAA. Their 1,000% charge is governing amateur athletics. They were not formed at all in any way, shape, or form to govern professional athletes. They're being asked to. That's akin to, let's say you are a roofing company and you have been a practicing roofing company for 100 years, and tomorrow you're told, hey, by the way, you got to start doing plumbing now. Man, that's a big ask. That's a big ask. Number one. Number two, a lot of people that say, get rid of the NCAA, clean it out, get rid of it. Well, I don't know if you've thought it through. You're going to have to put something in the NCAA's place. Just because it's a different alphabet stew, you put some different letters, whatever the replacement for the NCAA is, and whatever you want to call it, CAS or whatever, College Athletic Sports Association, just because the alphabet soup changes doesn't mean the issues that face the NCAA in terms of jurisdiction will still face any new alphabet soup organization that you say, goodbye, NCAA, hello, this new alphabet soup. Unless things are changed, the NCAA has no jurisdiction. People say the NCAA has got to step in and put a salary cap type check and balance in place. The NCAA has no jurisdiction legally to do that. The millisecond they try, and they will probably, they'll theoretically throw out some guidelines and it'll go straight to court as it stands right now, because there is no organization, there is no structure. Now, long-winded way of saying for me getting where I think it's going to go. And by the way, I've listened and watched Shane's show all the time. Shane doesn't agree with what I'm about to say. I think where it's going to go to give it structure and to give it organization is, I do think at the college level, the athletes are going to become employees. I think the athletes are going to become employees. With that, I think the athletes will form, there will be an athletes union, much like the NFL. Why is there a salary cap in the NFL? A lot of people just don't put two and two together here. They go, college sports now with all the money, they've got to implement a salary cap. Well, there's a salary cap in the NFL because A, the players are employees and they have a union. Until the players at the college level become employees and form a union, I don't think you can structure it. I don't think legally you can structure it. So I truly think, now, is it going to work? Is it going to help? I don't know, because when they become employees, and I think that's what's going to happen, and they form a union, I think you open up other problems. There's other issues to be considered. You may not have thought this through, but if college athletics goes to hired employees, and those employees, the ball players, they form a union, you're going to have that's the NFL structure. That's professional sports structure. With that, you're going to have some of the issues that you see in the NFL. If that happens at the college level, you will, and I heard somebody on this show, Evan, you could probably help me remember, last week on this show, Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning, a guy on the comments said, Shane, and I don't think Shane addressed it deep. He said, Shane, might the college guys strike? I've been saying for 2 years now that I think this is where it's going, employees, and they form a union. And when that happens, I guarantee you there will be in the future, players will strike and individual players will hold out like you see in the NFL. So get ready for that. I'm just throwing some things that I think will happen. Get ready for your favorite football team about to play a huge game, a top 5 matchup on Saturday, and it's Friday, and you hear reports, oh, by the way, the star quarterback for XYZ school, he didn't get on the plane because he's in a strike. He's holding out for more money. He's holding his school hostage. Hey, maybe the school doesn't do the NIL, but go find me more money. You will have strikes and holdouts if athletes become employees at the college level and form a union. And I think that's where it's going. I think that is where it's going. The only way to really start handling tampering is to make them employees and they have contracts. Yes, they sign scholarships, but that's not an employment contract. Tampering right now is a major issue as well in college sports, college football. Hard to govern that right now if they're not contractual employees. I'm telling you, I think that is where it's going. I think the players will become employees. Now, the spinoff, as I see it, nobody has thrown out, what about the fans? How are the fans, you and me and people that love college sports, college athletics? I don't think everybody's just going to say, oh, it's hunky-dory, this is the new way. I think you're going to turn off some fans. To what degree, to what percentage, I don't know. But how many donors, if these student athletes become employees, form a union, I'll tell you another thing that's going to happen really, really quick when all this money gets going and college sports becomes pro sports, okay? That line of demarcation is blurred. You're going to have people that have donated saying, wait a minute, I used to send money in to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, when they all start donating, a lot of money that comes into these schools, these athletic departments, they're going to say, well, they're professional athletes. I'm not sending money. Here's what you're also going to hear. Nobody's brought this up. We are not far away when they start getting paid. And I'm for it. I'm just saying the implementation can cause a lot of problems. We are not far away from some of the student athletes going, this student part, this school student part, we don't want it anymore. We just want to play and get paid. That will come down the pipe. I'm telling you. We are not far away from college athletes. If they become pro athletes, you may as well call it pro athletes. If that line of demarcation is gone, they're making money. They are employees. They are unionized. It won't be long down the road before they say, hey, this school part of this student athlete thing, the student thing needs to go. Well, why am I going to class? I'm a pro football player. I'm a pro basketball player. That's why. I wonder how the fan will take that, how the donor will take that. The donor may look up and go, I'm not sending that $5,000 check I send every year to kind of help out the athletic department / these student athletes. No, they don't even. Do we want, I'm just throwing things out. Do we want colleges just using athletics to A, raise money, which they do, and B, be an advertising tool? But I'm telling you, the best correlation that worries me the most, the best correlation that worries me the most where college sports is going and how much interest will be lost. I don't, when these changes happen, I don't think college athletics is going to increase in popularity. I think the chance is it's going to decrease. I would say, look at what happened to the Olympics. The best example I think that could be drawn is be careful. I'm for it, but I worry about implementation and what happens down the road. Remember what happened to the Olympics. The Olympics had a essence about it. It had a innocence about it. The Olympics were different. It was, and I know some countries don't have amateurism, but most of them are amateur countries with amateur athletes. The Olympics was unique and different. It wasn't professional track and field in Europe. It wasn't professional basketball. It was the Olympics. It was special. It was amateur. The Olympics, that line got blurred in the 80s. Professional athletes were allowed to play. And the beauty was it was country versus country. I'm going to send my athletes from my country. You send yours. Let's see whose athletes are better. That is the essence of the Olympics. Amateur, not professional. When the dollar bill got involved in the Olympics, pro people, 92, Dream Team, the pros, and we were as guilty, the United States, as any other country. When money got involved and the line of demarcation that separated the Olympics and made it what it is, the Olympics have lost their fastball. The Olympics have no ass. The Olympics are nowhere near as important, as followed, as cared about really within the last 30 years since the advent of professional athletes into the Olympics. The Olympics have lost their fastball. The Olympics are nowhere near what they are. And I don't think it'll ever come back, ever. You've got coaches now and United States coaches are guilty. They go get paid to coach the Greek baseball team. Or hell, Bela Karolyi and his wife, Romanian, they ran the United States Olympic Gymnastics Federation for 25 years. He's from Romania. He was holding Nadia Comaneci in his arms when she won gold in an Olympics in '76. When the Olympics got blurred, the Olympics lost their fastball, a lot of their fastball. I worry about that. College sports, college football, good old State U, win one for the college. Maybe you didn't go there, but that school represents your state and their state pride. If they just become pro athletes, you're going to get a lot of other issues that pop in. My thoughts, I think that it is going to go to the employee union. That's where it's going to go. I think that's where it's going. Rick checks in, Olympics lost when basketball dream team got in. Well, that's kind of what I'm saying. Late 80s, early 90s, the Olympics, the IOC, hey, professional athletes can compete. The Olympics are not, I feel bad for young people that never got to experience the real Olympics. 84, 76, 72, 68, 64, 60, what the Olympics were about and the feel. The Olympics had that feel. Now it's just pro sports. It's just the best pro sprinters get together, 8 of them on the start line, and they run 100 meters. That's pro track and field. That's not my guys from my country. There's my dissertation. There's my dissertation. I think that's where it's going. I worry. I'm all for the concept of NIL. I'm all for the transfer portal. I think the portal and the NIL, they're married. And what I'm talking about, the athletes going, turning into employees and forming a union, that's the only way, I think, because they'll have a contractual agreement. And you can then, in the union, specify punishment for tampering. Right now, there is no real contract. A scholarship, yeah. Where's it going? Where is it going? It makes me wonder. And I felt this way from the minute the Georgia Bulldogs won the national championship over Alabama several months ago. Are we going to look back and say, wow, that 2021 Georgia football national championship, that's the last kind of real college football championship? Are we going to look back and we might. I will say this, and any of you folks that have watched or heard me over the years on sports broadcasting, I'm as fever pitched a college sports and college football fan as you'll find. I love it. I have loved it. I've made it my career. I love it. The last several months with all this coming down, I have felt just a little bit of my passion erode, just a little bit, where you're seeing it going. I hope it can come back, but that's my thought. I'll stick with it. Let's take one final break, come back, wrap up the show. It's been a good one. I hope you have enjoyed it. I'm Terry Norvelle. If you're just tuning in, sitting in for Shane Matthews. Shane is out today, and I think he's got some business Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, but I believe Shane will be back on Monday. We'll come back and wrap up this Friday, the 13th edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning, right after this quick timeout.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, Aikido America, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avera and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
All right, just about wrapping up a Friday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning. I'm Terry Norvelle in for Shane. Shane will be back on Monday. Ruse Ogra State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and, of course, your family. Visit ograinsurance.com or call them at 352-240-1779. Thank you to all the great sponsors that have made this show happen for a long, long time. Freddie Weeby and Shane Matthews, along with obviously Evan Miller and a bunch of people behind the scenes, have turned this into one of the big podcasts out there, and certainly the dominant Gator podcast. Remember now, when it comes to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning, follow and like them on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. Again, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can also listen to this show on up to 37 digital platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and much more. Real proud of all the people. I've gotten to know all these people over the years. Real proud of where they have taken this show. And it is, I don't think it's done yet. I think it's going to keep ascending. And I know a lot of people, this is must see and must listen broadcasting 5 days a week. Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning. A couple quick things before we get out of here, a little bit miscellaneous stuff. Speaking of college football and where it's going, certainly I know, everybody knows there's going to be a big 65. The Power 5 is going to turn into the Power 65. They're going to break away. Everybody knows that. That's going to happen. When that happens, if I was running college football, certainly if I was running the Group of 5, that next level, the Group of 5, that the minute that happens, the Group of 5, if I'm running it, would play their season in the spring. I would absolutely not get buried. When it goes Power 65, I think that Group of 5 gets buried even more. I really do. I think the spotlight is on all those 65. I would move the Group of 5 season to the spring. I don't think you'll ever be facing anything bigger than these pop-up leagues in the spring. The NFL, I don't think ever going to go to the spring. The NFL, they're the smartest people in the world. They love money more than anybody in the world. The fact that the NFL's never messed with the spring, that tells you they're not going to. I would move the Group of 5 season to the spring when the big 65 pull away, and they will. Have you seen the proposal this week, I think, down in Amelia Island from the ACC? I love the proposal. They're talking about scheduling their conference schedule on a 3-5-5 rotation. 3 permanent, 5 rotating, and then the second year, the other 5 rotating. You'll play everybody every 2 years, basically. I love that concept. I would love that. In the SEC, I would love that. Obviously, the SEC is about to go to 16 teams as opposed to 14 in the ACC. But the SEC going to 16 teams, I would love a 3-6-6. 3 permanents. And you know what? You would be fine if you get to grab 3 permanents. And then 1 year you play 6. And then the following year, you play the other 6, meaning you play everybody every 2 years. I love that proposal. I hope it happens across college football. Certainly in the Power 5, I hope that happens, and I hope it happens soon. Good job, ACC. I don't know if the SEC has ever thought of that and just not made it public, but I love that idea. So there you have it. Let's call it a Friday. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Again, Shane Matthews should be back on Monday. He's out with some business today. I'm Terry Norvelle filling in. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed it. Getting back with my buddy Evan Miller, who has done a great job producing all the shows I've done on this network. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. Again, Shane back on Monday. I will join you on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. I gave you some stuff to think about. Put your thinking cap on all weekend as you're having a fun safe weekend. Enjoy it, and we'll get back together on Monday. Shane in the driver's seat for Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning.